I want to check the phasing and see, because it's two different mics on the same guitar, and I decided earlier that it needed to be out of phase. But just to give you an example of what it would sound like if I didn't check the phasing, that's really thin. The two mics are cancelling each other out. And to explain why that happens, just in case you don't know, sound waves are basically vibrations in the air. And like when you drop a stone in the pond, they create sort of ripples. That creates ripples. And you have ripples in the air that propagate. And that's what a sound wave is. So obviously these things go up and down. And they go up and down a number of times per second, and that's the frequency. So the higher the frequency, the higher the note, the more it vibrates, and the lower the note, the kind of the slower it vibrates. I should have said the faster it vibrates, not the more it vibrates. And obviously these frequencies can go up and down. And if you have another thing that's happening that's going up when the other's going down, and then vice versa, it's going down when the other one's coming up, because it's like adding 100 and minus 100 together. They're going to come out at 0. You're not going to get any sound. So the two end up cancelling each other out. If you had two channels of the same thing, in fact, I'll do this as an example here. So I'm just going to take this guitar of mine here, slight diversion from what I was talking about, but here we go. So I'm going to take my guitar here, and I'm going to make a duplicate of that track. So this is an identical copy. So at the moment, we should get twice the volume because I've got two of it. And if I load up the mixing desk here and I put my copy out of phase, it will go silent. There we go. It's gone silent. And that's because they're cancelling each other out, because they're identical, except that when this one is saying plus 100, the other one is saying minus 100, and of course they sum together to be 0. So sorry for the diversion there, but I needed to explain what I was talking about. Roy says it's Guinness time. Yeah, sorry, mate, I'm getting technical. But yeah, so that's what I'm checking with these two acoustics. Now, of course, they're not going to be identical. They're two different mics, so they're going to have different characteristics about them. But that doesn't mean that there isn't similar data between them, because it's two mics basically on the same instrument pointing at the same sound hole. So between the two of them, there's going to be some of it's the same, and you want to make sure that most of it is in the right phase. And you can hear if you have them in phase or the signals are in phase as they were recorded, they're actually out of phase. It sounds very thin. And then I switch one of them round. Of course, I'm not playing now, am I? Yeah, you get a lot more fatness out of it. If I take it through to a bit where I'm actually strumming properly. And again, all the high frequencies, because they're really narrow and really fast in how fast they fluctuate, they don't interfere with each other as much as the bass frequencies, which of course are longer. And if you have a 60 hertz wave and a 65 hertz wave that are out of phase with each other, well, they're going to have more chance to cancel each other out because they're physically longer than something that's kind of there and gone. I hope that makes sense. I wasn't planning on explaining this. I hadn't really planned that. But that's why it's always important to check the phase with everything. The snare drum with the overheads, the snare drum with the room. Just, go through checking phases.